Lately, our homes have experienced more of us. More dishes, more flushes,
Mom!
and more shower time concerts. After 50 years of Encores, Mr. Rooter Plumbing Service professionals are equipped to handle anything. We're your neighbor you can call anytime, and we'll be there because we've been here all along. Mr. Rooter Plumbing, a neighborly company. Visit mrrooter.com today.
This is a CBC podcast.
Well, from the outside, it looks like a slick and rather thick cookbook. But there is so much more to the brand new title, In the Kitchen with Gary Corcoran. If he was here today, we'd ask him to walk us through this flavor journey. Unfortunately, Corcoran lost his battle with ALS on May 26th, days after he got to hold a copy of his legacy project. As his illness progressed, numerous people stepped up to help him finish that final product. And one of them is Corcoran's friend and fellow Rotarian, Steve Winter. We reached him yesterday morning to find out more about Gary and his book.
Morning, Chrissy.
Well, first of all, we are very sorry for your loss and want to send condolences to Gary's wife, Gail, and to his much wider circle of family and friends. Tell us a little bit about Gary. What was he like?
Gary was just one of those people that he loved life. I mean, he was constantly doing things to help other people, one way or another, through charitable activities or through just lending a hand, basically. But he loved to be in the kitchen, and whether it was his kitchen, which was a pretty special place here in St. John's, he built I guess it was called a man cave, but it was anything but a man cave because it was really a kitchen and a place for entertaining and eating, and that's what he enjoyed doing. In the meantime, if he happened to be in your house or mine, he'd find a way into the kitchen as well. And he was passionate about food, passionate about enjoying food with other people, and he just had a flair for creativity, and it was a real joy to be with from that perspective and numerous others.
I understand that he was a very good dinner host. What was it like to be a guest at one of Gary's dinners?
Well, you never knew what you were going to get. That was the one sure thing about any kind of time with Gary, because he was very creative, and he'd go out of his way to find things that weren't, on the shelves here in St. John's and whatever. So he had a walk-in fridge or free cooler, I guess you'd call it, and he had all kinds of different game hanging in there. I won't say all the time, because obviously it came and went. But
this walk-in cooler, I mean, are we still in the man cave? I mean, this sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It was second to none. Like into the capability in that kitchen with his pizza oven, his huge propane stove, just goes on and boggles my mind.
You know, there's a lot of personality in his cookbook, and one of the things I learned was that he learned how to cook from scratch from, I guess, being sick of having the same rotation of meals growing up with a big family. And I guess what started as wanting to, shake things up with a box pizza, turned into something so much more. I mean, how versatile a cook did Gary become?
Oh, if you look at the cookbook, you'll see a pretty broad range of tastes and experiences, really, is what it amounts to. I think it really started when he was a pretty young boy, as it does say in the book itself. It talks about how he got tired of the same meals that his mother was providing, so he asked her if he could cook something different. So she gave him the pizza box, and he made pizza for the family, and that was the start. Beyond that, he traveled considerably, went into numerous restaurants and homes, and he always found his way into the kitchen, and one thing led to another. I think he was just driven. He's on every page in the book. There's no question about that. But it just reflects what Gary is. If he made a commitment to do something, there was no doubt it was going to be done. And this is certainly how this all played out, I think. And he talked about doing a cookbook for years. I think he had so many different recipes, and he got a lot of people suggesting that he should do that. So I think when the time came and he had time on his hands when he was sick, it was an ideal opportunity for him to get into something that he could do mentally and physically, which obviously the physical part became a bigger challenge.
I understand that Gary was diagnosed with ALS back in 2018, and one of the things he acknowledged in the front cover of the book was that a lot of people helped him actually, finish this piece and get it over the finish line.
The content is Gary's totally, and Gail was very much involved in, I think, editing and the final product from a finished perspective. The pictures, a lot of them came about because Gary would send recipes to friends to try, and he asked them to take pictures of the end result of what they had cooked and send them back to him. And that's how, I don't know the percentage, but a large number of the pictures that are in the book were from people other than Gary and Gail, although they obviously produced a lot of what's in there directly. But that was his focus and his commitment to get done. And maybe his time ended after when he finished the book. I mean, I guess you'd never know that type of thing, but certainly it's probably more than a coincidence that he saw his book on actually, I guess it was the week before he died. I was up in his house to pick up some books that I was going to deliver to people, and Gary came out to have a chat with me. Gail brought him out in his wheelchair, and the sense of pride, you could see he had accomplished something that was really, really significant, and he had put his heart and soul into it. And I think anybody who sees the book will believe that.
Why was this book so important to him, Steve?
The whole idea behind it is obviously to produce something that other people will want and get some pleasure out of and enjoyment. But for Gary, to be able to make contributions to ALS and the Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto, where the research is being done on the type of ALS he had was sporadic ALS, which is not genetic and generally unknown as to how you actually are afflicted with it, how that all comes about. And Sunnybrook, the doctors there have committed to doing research to try to resolve this and help people who may be afflicted with sporadic ALS going forward. So that, I think, was probably the most specific driver. In addition to that, Gary was a very committed Rotarian, and our group, the Stokers, one of half a dozen different groups in our Rotary Club. We all raise money for different charities and whatever, and Gary was very big on that. So part of the proceeds will come to the Stokers, and the other large percentage will go to ALS research.
How can people find a copy of this book?
Well, there's not much available from the original print one, but Barnes & Noble and Amazon are both retailing the book. You might need a little bit of patience. I'm not sure the exact timelines. I
understand sales are going well.
Absolutely. And there was the first run was 5,000 books, and 5,000 books of any type in Canada would be considered to be a bestseller.
Thank you so much for sharing this story. And once again, we're very sorry for your loss.
I appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about Gary because he was such a wonderful person, and I can only say again how impressive I think this cookbook is.
That was Steve Winter talking about the cookbook that his friend and fellow Rotarian published in support of ALS research. In the Kitchen with Gary Corcoran. Recipes from Home and Away is now available on Amazon.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.